Welcome to my new studio. I had a few requests to show you around, so that's what this video is going to be all about. Now, you may not know this, but I'm from London, but my wife is in education. So 5 years ago, she got a job in Singapore, so that's where we moved. And now she got a job in Malaysia, so I've just moved there, and that's where this studio is. The studio in London I had was tiny. The one in Singapore, bit bigger, and this one finally is really a great size. I mean, I can walk around. The other one I couldn't. So what I've done is set it up into zones, which I'll show you. The important thing for me is to be able to just switch on a button and get working as soon as possible. I mean, this is what I've set up, a Google automation where I can just press one button and the whole studio, i.e. this section here, where I do the filming, that's set up immediately. Then I have lights, which I haven't got on at the moment. This one I have. And everything just gets turned on immediately. The other thing I do here, a lot of, is remote online sessions, which I've been doing for 15 years or so now. So if you want me to go through some of that, I will as well in a separate video. But let me go through what we have here. So, you know, it's just one door to get in, and then I've got a shelf with my Derek Smalls doll. You've got to have one of those. Just got a few books. These are all tools. Another thing people are asking are for setup videos for basses, so I'm going to do another one of those as well. The key for me to a home studio, which this is storage. So behind these doors here, and the last doors I had were swing out doors, so this double bass here would constantly get hit by the door, but now I can just slide, and you know, that is an absolute godsend to have a place to put everything. Look at this, by the way. That is not normal. This was a casualty of the move. The neck's just come out of the pocket. This double bass I bought from Malcolm Healy in England. He's a great double bass luthier. I don't think he's working anymore, but he made this neck. This is a late 1800s German factory bass. I don't really play double bass, but I've got one if I want to at least attempt. Apparently that's not that difficult a repair, so I'm hoping that's the case. So I've got a couple of these shelves that just lay against the wall. I don't know if you know, but I've written these books here. That's for fundamental changes. And that's another thing I do in this room. It's YouTube videos, writing books and sessions. This is quite cool. I did some sessions for some really great guys, and they got this company, Wood Sounds. This is supposed to go, this is a spacer to go in your rack, but I'm just putting it up here. So check them out if you want. Thanks for subscribing, by the way. That's the YouTube thing you get when you get 100,000 subscribers. Then you don't get anything till 1 million, which I don't think I'll ever get, but I don't mind. Lots of pedals. So, I mean, at the moment, I'm not really using pedals too much, so I just keep them here. My signal chain is very simple. I'll probably talk to you about that in a minute. But, you know, they're there for live work or if I want to connect them. My Martha Reeves poster, I used to play for her a lot in the UK. She uses pickup bands wherever she goes. Where was this? This was, yeah, Jazz Cafe. That was a great time. She would tell me loads of stories about James Jamerson and cool things like that. Now, this really is a great piece of equipment, the case. Before I was traveling out to Singapore that first time 5 years ago, I needed a place to store these basses. You get the basses, they move from the flat in London to a port and then 5 weeks on a ship. So I was panicking a bit. The move was a bit last minute. And I just found these. Warwick make these. And I got in contact with Warwick, told them my predicament. And in about an hour, Peter Wilfer, the actual CEO of Warwick, he got in contact, and he's day to day with that business. And he just, not only did he offer me a nice little artist discount on them, but he sent them with days to spare before I had to move everything. And this is moved from London to Singapore, now Singapore to Malaysia in a truck, which was quite stressful. Double bass, didn't really make it, but these basses, perfect. So honestly, if you need to transport or even just store them like this, it's a great piece of kit. Warwick are an amazing company, by the way. They don't get enough love. I have got a bass over there. I'm going to show you that. Now in this video, I'm not really going to go through all the basses. If you want a video on that, let me know. But just a couple of highlights. This is a 1978 Fender P bass. I've got a little ukulele, my daughter's handiwork. This is a 78 P bass. This is possibly my favourite bass. I've done so much recording over the years with this, and it's just got a really great recorded tone, and I love it. It's a 60s Framus hollow body, very specific sound. Hofner club bass. This is a fairly recent acquisition. I've always wanted, well no, that's not true actually. Ever since I did a session for Dominic Scherer for the Serpent, he wanted this Burns Bison Dave Richmond sound, and it was one of the only basses that I didn't have, and it's a very particular tone. Then we got Gibson EB3, all vintage these, late 70s, which were sort of quite affordable when I bought them about, when was that, about 15 years ago now? Rickenbacker, Music Man Stingray, I use this in videos a lot. This is a Tobias 6-string. Classical guitar, I started on guitar years and years ago, and I still like to play it every now and again. My filming setup, I use this Sony ZV-10, I think it's called, or E10. And again, with the studio in Singapore, I would open the door and just, you'd automatically have just stuff on the floor, and I couldn't get into the studio. And that's a little tip for you if you're creating a space. Obviously, you might not be lucky enough to have a whole room like this, but whatever your setup is, be ready to go immediately and make it a place you want to come into. This now is that place for me, whereas actually before it really wasn't. I wasn't really feeling it. There's another one of those shelf things. I've just got a few things here. Bass pod. I bought this just, I had the guitar version which I sold. I haven't actually used this, but I used to love the guitar pod version. I bought this because Chris Chaney, who I love his playing and his tone, he uses one of those. Cliff Burton Doll. These are all my lanyards from gigs gone past. I don't know what to do with those yet. And this is my gigging rig. Again, when I moved from London 5 years ago, that was the stop of gigs, hard stop on gigs for me, and I transitioned a lot more to this online stuff. But this was the rig I was using, a Mark Bass CMD 112, I think that's called, in the extension cab. With the extension cab, it's 500 watts and incredibly light. I could carry one of these in each hand, bass on the back, or use a little trolley, and that was absolutely fantastic for all gigs. And this accessory here, I used to love. This little Velcro thing that you stick to the side. As long as there's not too much stage traffic, your bass isn't going anywhere. Then I've got these racks here. I've just set up the second one. This is from a company called StringSwing.com, and they reached out to me. And I get a lot of companies reaching out to me for stuff, and 90% of the time I say thanks but no thanks, because if I'm promoting products to you and they're not great and I don't love them, you'll know that, and that's not great. But this, I wanted something that looked really, really great and could store my basses, and they sent me 2 of these. In the old studio I only had 1. But yeah, this is probably my newest bass actually. This is a Warwick Corvette Pro line, the Bubinga one. It is unbelievably heavy. I don't think I would ever do a gig with that, but I owned one. This is probably my first serious bass when I was 13, was one of these. It got stolen, so this was a real nostalgic thing. I bought this in Bangkok for the most unbelievably cheap price. I can't remember what I think it was about 1,000 pounds or euros. I don't know how it was that cheap, but I got it. Breedlove acoustic guitar. Got an Ibanez. Where's my this is the bass I use mostly in my YouTube videos. An Ibanez 1982 Roadster with some replacement DiMarzio pickups. That bass needs a little bit of work. It was making a strange sound in the last few videos, so I need to take that to the guitar doctor around here. This is a Zoot bass made by Mike Walsh in Essex. Really lovely bass. got to get that out more as well. This is another one I use a lot in lessons. The Mustang Justin Meldal Johnson. But like I say, I'll go through that more in a dedicated video if you like. I used to use this a lot on gigs. That is a great bass. It doesn't really sound like an upright at all, but it looks amazing. Then I have an amp wall or shelf. This is a 70s Fender Bassman. And I went to a gig and I heard a bass player playing one of these, and it was one of the best bass sounds ever. So I managed to find one on eBay, and I've recorded a lot with that as well. That's the holy grail of bass recording amps. This is a 60s Ampeg B15. Even though I've got this big space, I'm still in an apartment, so I don't really get to play these very loud. I suppose that brings me on to the main setup I have here, which you watch on YouTube. I've got Logic Pro here. Now, again, I've used Max and Logic for, I don't know, 20 years, I guess. And it works for me, and I like to stick with things. If you know, Pro Tools is the industry standard, but this works for me, really. This is an online session I'm doing actually right now. But in terms of the setup, it's very easy. Speaking of setup, a lot of people have asked me about bass setup, so I'll do another video on that. But what have we got here? I've got a cable down there. I've really got a thing for nice cables. I've got this Evidence Audio instrument cable, which I've had for years and years and years. It's expensive, but it lasts. And the bass goes into this Avalon U5. Use that a lot live. I don't have any of the tone or anything on. It's just a very good transparent sound. And everything's going through this Apollo X6 by Universal Audio. I use some of the preamps on that. And that's really it. It's just the bass goes into here. And I've got various other things. I mean, this is a Leela, I think it's called, P-split, which would enable me to come, I used to come out of this Avalon and into this. This is a Jules Monique and the M700. Again, I went on a gig. I watched a gig and someone was using this with a speaker cabinet, and that was the sort of equal best bass sound I've ever heard with that one. So I used to run 2 signals and just blend them for these lessons, but I was running into some sort of hum problems. So at the moment I'm just coming out of this, and I might duplicate the signal and blend them a bit. I can't play you this person's tune, but if I've done something similar here. You've got a DI, very clean sound here. And then I've got this is not going to sound very good at all, but I've just got a Universal Audio Ampeg SVT3 Pro. That gives you a bit more of an amp sound, and then you blend them. So I often do that in lessons, and I'll use something like Waves, CLA, guitar or bass plugins, which sound really good. Got a keyboard here. I've had this for years and years, sort of MIDI thing. But my new setup is a bit more sparse, and that's the cupboards in the background here. I can just put a load of things away there and just keep it relatively clean, and that just inspires me to get in here and work a bit more. I've got this Strobo Plus HDC from Peterson. Again, I reached out to them and they sent me this for free. This is pretty much the best tuner money can buy, and it's got this excellent metronome feature in it as well. Might do a video on accessories that I use. What have I got here? Neumann monitors. Again, you know, I don't have them very loud. I don't do much mixing here. It's just, you know, the videos that you see me do, and you know that's in the background, and you can see the camera in the middle of those, and you usually will see me with this angle here. But I can't tell you how life-changing it is to have a setup that you can access with just one button. You can open the door, it's just all there, and it's just a joy, really. I've only been in here 1 week. I've only done, this is the second video, so By the way, what the camera I'm using to do this is an Osmo DJI Pocket 3, I think it's called. I'm not very good with camera tech, but it's brilliant. And I might do a few more things like this where you just whip out a camera and talk to you about, random things, bases or whatever. I think it's that thing in creativity where you don't want any barriers to whether it's filming or whether it's practicing or composing. You want to get to that thing as fast as possible. And this camera I'm finding right now is very good for that. It comes with this microphone here. There's another thing here that's fairly new, which is a music stand set up. There's a Hercules stand attached to it for an iPad, and this funny thing here, I clamp my iPhone to that to get a second angle for my lessons. I'm not sure I'm that happy with that angle, and if you're watching my lessons, it would be good for you to give me some feedback on what you think. I've got a shotgun mic here, a Rode one. The ceiling height here is enormous, look. So I'm getting a slightly different sound, speaking sound. I'm not quite happy with that in the studio, but I'm going to be creating loads and loads more videos. I'm here definitely for 2 more years. That's my wife's contract. So I hate moving, and I hate moving all of this stuff. It's basically too much stuff to move around the world, but that is the way it is. I mean, if you're moving a lot, I think you don't really want that many things. But look, I've got so many bases, and I do use them for sessions. I'm not really gigging anymore, but I would like to try and get some more gigs locally to here, because that's, for me, I gigged from the age of 11 and then professionally all the way up to COVID and moving to Singapore. So I feel like I need to get back into it, to be honest. This is a very good electric upright bass. It's a Alter Ego. Again, that needs some attention as well. This door goes to like a Jack and Jill toilet from another bedroom, so I've just blocked that off. I don't need it. So that's it really. If you have any questions, do let me know. I think I could definitely do a video on online sessions and my process for that, getting work, doing that, some of the stuff I've done, or setups, bass setups, because there are lots of different basses here. I like to have basses with different strings and different sounds. That club bass sounds only like that. This 60s hollow body has got flat wounds on it. I like to keep a precision with old strings. Where's my jazz bass? Somewhere over here. What am I looking for? That's how many basses I have. I can't even find what I'm looking for. Oh no, there it is. No, that's my precision. That's a 68 precision. That's got flats on it. And you need probably slightly different setups for each bass, but in all honesty, I go a lot by feel. But that's been a requested thing. But any questions you've got about this studio, about anything else, now that I've got this camera and I can just very quickly take it out, take the microphone and just do videos. Maybe I can do videos away from the bass and talk a bit more about behind the scenes stuff. Please let me know about that. Thanks for watching anyway, and I'll hopefully see you on the next lesson.